Oh, hey, what's good, everybody? All right, so look, as everyone knows, well, most people know, I'm a wrestler fan, and I listen to wrestling podcasts relatively often, especially those that are about the business of the business, right? And I was listening last week to show Lion Tigers Bears Ahead on Channel Attitude by my boy Vince Russo. Yeah, shout out to him and Jeff do an excellent job over there at Channel Attitude. If you are a fan of Attitude Era wrestling, I definitely recommend you subscribe to their podcast network. But when I was listening to it, something came up in my mind that oftentimes I deal with many of my clients who do events. They're having to look over their spreadsheet, see what their profit margin is going to be, or when they're first talking about it, saying, "Hey, I want to have this person part, that person apart." And one of the things that I often say is, "All right, if you bring this person in, how much revenue um, are they gonna bring to the table?" And it's like, huh? So when you're hiring a contractor, you're hiring somebody to do something, they should save you time or bring you in money. So when you're bringing somebody in, it's because either they're going to, there's something that you need to be taken care of that they are going to do either as good or better than you can. And that's essential to the infrastructure and functionality of your product or of your service. Secondly, if you're doing it, they should be bringing in money itself, actual revenue. So, hey, if I put this person's name on there, I say this person's going to be there, people are going to come because they're there, or they're actually going to be actively selling your event and bringing people with them that's going to bring in the revenue. So, I just want to play this clip real quick from Al Snow. He's talking to, well, he said the entire story, but I'm going to probably jump in a couple times and say a few things about it. But listen here.
My daughter, I've told this story before, but my daughter's boyfriend at the time was a wrestler, and I was like, don't date wrestlers, never listen. So he's like, hey, I got an opportunity, with this promotion. I go, great for you. He goes, yeah, it's about an hour and a half away. And I go, okay. And he goes, yeah, the guy told me we start everybody out at $40 a night. And I told him, no, look, I need 50. And he said, did I make the right decision? I go, no, you didn't make the right decision. He goes, why? I go, wait a minute. What's your name? And he told, mentioned his name. I'm not going to say what it is. And I go, let's say I put your name in that town on that poster. Be honest with me. How many people are going to walk into a convenience store, see that poster, not see wrestling, not see anything else, just your name? And they're going to go, oh my God, he's here on that night. Where do I buy my ticket? He goes, well, probably nobody. I go, so.
All right. So that was one of the real big points. He said, how many people, because I see your name there, I see you associated with it, are going to show up. So that's when we say know your value. It's literally not your intrinsic value or how you feel or what you put into something. But when you're approaching someone about being on their marquee, about being a part of their event, or when they approach you, you really want to take a critical look at how much revenue is going to come in because they're a part of what you do. That's how partnerships work. I do a whole lot of partnerships and collaborations with people. And, the first thing I lead with is what I'm going to bring, not just from a skill standpoint or from a knowledge standpoint, but how what I do is going to actually help their business. For instance, I have this sign in the back right here. The sign is not a cheap sign at all. It's done very well. As a matter of fact, I'll put it all so everybody can see it. Designshop.com, DESIGN, DES, look here, y'all got me, DESIGN-SHOPPE.com. Done an excellent job for it. Now, I can't do that. I don't have time to do that, but it does something to what I'm doing to give it a look, so it makes it worth the money. Now, so it's like, hey, I'm going to pay this amount because number one, I can't do it. I've done, I've never done anything like that before in my life, but it brings to the table something that I believe is going to help generate revenue because of the look of it. So I'm going to let him continue.
Let me get this straight. You just admitted that no one is going to buy a ticket for you. So you're not even worth 4 tickets of value that the guy offered you out of the gate. but you're asking for 5 tickets of value that you know you can't even sell one. I said, how do you equate that? Instead of going and taking advantage of the opportunity and at least getting 4 tickets of value, which means that you know going in you're being overpaid because 4 people didn't show up to see you. Use that as an opportunity to now make 6 and 7 and 8 people pay to see you or more the next time so that you can renegotiate a different price.
That's a hard pause. My bad, Al. He grabbing his nose. But now he said something very, very quickly. Now I want you to know Al Snow's mindset of the wrestling match or wrestling TV show. It's a commercial for an individual. So if you're going into a place, yourself always know what that event is worth to you as well. You know, you showing up, you being there. I know some people say, hey, exposure, not necessarily a good thing. And I get that part, especially if you're a service provider, like for instance, a photographer, a videographer, things like that. But if you have the opportunity to kind of be a face of something or get out in front of something where your target audience is there, and that's why I often say you must know who your target audience is, then sometimes it's worth taking a little bit less. Sometimes it's worth doing pro bono, whatever it is. But I often recommend that you know if you're walking into a place, not just how much you're getting paid, but also how much it is worth. So what type of people are you being in front of? Do you have a product or service that's on the market that actually that works towards them? So you want to think about those things before you ask someone, because sometimes that's a selling point. Now, if you just say it's exposure, that doesn't make any sense. But if you tell people that you're going to be in front of XYZ, this amount of people who have this amount of income, this is the market that's going to be there, you can actually sell to them. Sometimes if I do a speaking engagement, I'll take a lower fee if I can sell from the stage. If I have a product or service that's relevant to that market, and I say, hey, look, I want you all to, say, hey, I'll take half of my fee as long as you let me sell my product. I can do a pitch at the very end. So that's how you want to look at it. What is it worth to you? What is it worth to others? So I'm gonna go ahead and continue and close it out.
I said, because in order for him to pay you 4 tickets of value, you basically need to sell at least 8 tickets to generate that need to pay you the 4. He said, why? I said, because now the promoter has to pay his insurance, the ring rental, the rent of the building, any advertising, and then hope to make a little bit of money off of you, which he's not going to because no one's showing up to see you. I said, in the future, you might want to take what you're given, even if it's just a hot dog and a handshake, to have the opportunity to now make yourself into an attraction that you can renegotiate a better price.
Yeah.
Oh, well, when you put it that way, I go, well, there's no other way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely agree. There really isn't any other way to put it on that, to actually, talk about it. I mean, that's real talk. And sometimes people don't want to hear the harsh realities of certain things. So, the scripture says a labor is worthy of his hire. So, what you're bringing to the table, you're worth getting paid that. Now, if somebody's overpaying you, that's on them, but you should always know your worth. If somebody's underpaying you, that's on you. But yes, they say, know your worth, add tax and tip, all that good stuff. I'm definitely for that. But the truth is you want to know your worth and then work on expanding it, work on having an audience, work on having your name on something that people want to be a part of. And so that way you can approach someone and say, hey, I have this many people who normally show up to anything that I'm at. Can you pay me to show up so that I'll bring those people? So it's very, very logical. But as I said, people know as a wrestling fan, I often will relate the business of wrestling to the business of business. I actually am looking forward to one day having a real conversation with Vince Russo, one of the greatest storytellers in wrestling history. No one's had better ratings than him, about how selling stories and having gimmicks in wrestling can actually translate to your business. So look out for that. Matter of fact, at Vince Russo, and tell him that you want to see it and see it soon. All right, y'all have a good one. Later. Oh wait, I gotta do my thing because I gotta be a professional joint. Where's that?